is the Harbor Freight Fluid Extractor, and I believe it's made by a company called Holt, H-O-L-T. So I just wanted to give everybody a follow-up on this. It's 4 years old. I've used it quite a bit, and I have to do the 50-hour service on my Kubota tractor. So I figured this would be a perfect time to do a follow-up video on it, and I'm going to do an experiment with it. One of the comments was, some of the comments were, how much of the oil does it get out of the crankcase? So we're going to try an experiment. I'm going to use this to get the bulk of the oil out, and once I can't get any more out with this, I'm going to take the drain plug out and see how much more comes out. So should be interesting. Got the tractor warming up outside, and I'm going to bring it in a minute, and we'll get started. Alright, so the oil level is full, you guys could see. So okay, I think that tube is down there all the way. Around to here. There we go, we got oil coming up. I think that tube coiled around. There we go. I pulled that tube out a little bit. I think the end coiled around and got an air pocket. So looks like it's flowing good now. A few more pumps. I don't know if you guys can hear it over the heater, but you can actually hear the oil dripping down in the canister there. Okay, you know what? I'm going to shut the camera off. I started this at 10:40 in the morning, and I'll bring you back when it's just about done, and I'll let you know how long it took. So, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes, and well, yeah, it probably definitely would be quicker just to open up the drain plug and just let everything pour out of the bottom. So, okay, so that's one disadvantage, is obviously the speed. So another thing too is it's kind of a two-hand operation, and it takes like a little finesse. I can, you know, if you ever watch those videos with doctors doing that liposuction stuff, that's kind of what it is. You have to find that sweet spot, and as you got the vacuum building, you kind of got to move the tube in and out and just find where that sweet spot is. Because I can imagine the end of the hose curling up under, or maybe bottoming out against the pan, or something happening where it's either restricting the intake, or it's curling up and maybe sucking air in there. So, you know, by moving the tube in and out a little bit, you find that sweet spot. And as you can see, the tube is clear now. And so I got all of the oil I'm going to get out with the vacuum extractor. And it's about 3 liters, somewhere between there, between the 2 and 4 mark. And I think this holds 3.3 liters, something like that. And so let's get a drain pan under here and drain what's left in the pan, and we'll see how much there is. Okay, so we're underneath here now, and got the drain plug right here. That's a 14 millimeter. So we're gonna pull that out. Let's see here. Okay. And try not to make a mess. There shouldn't be much oil in here. So let's see exactly. Oh, and I'm starting with an empty drain pan. So, yeah, look at that. Okay, this is unedited, uncut. There you have it. So, I'm surprised at that. I thought there'd be something dripping out of here. Now, the tractor's parked on level ground. It's not tipped over, you know, tilted anyway. So, okay. I'm pretty impressed with that, actually. Well, let's put this back. Alright, so I mentioned there's a sweet spot where you got to find for that suction tube. And I wrote down 3 examples here of, I guess, what can happen. Now, this is all going on inside the oil pan. I really can't see in there, but these are the 3 situations that are possible. The green one, all right, that's something you want to get. That's the best scenario. You want to get that tube close to the bottom, but not against the bottom, and that will allow you to draw as much oil out as possible. Now, if you push it in, like in the blue one, and you bottom out against the pan or wherever it's hitting, you know, it's gonna restrict the oil flow. You know, it's gonna restrict the flow going up into the tube, and it'll stop the oil. You know, it's like a dead end there now. You know, and then the third case would be, as you're pushing the tubing in, it curls around. It maybe hits the edge of the oil pan. It depends on how it's shaped, but it could possibly push right out of the oil, and now you're just drawing air in through the suction side here. So I found that by moving that tube in and out of the dipstick tube, you can kind of find that sweet spot where you can draw it almost all. In the case of the tractor, we did take all the oil out. So, like I say, it takes a little finesse, and I guess that's one of the pitfalls of it, but it is doable. So I hope that clarifies things and makes it easier to understand. It's still not a deal breaker, so just something to be aware of. All right, so let's put a conclusion to this Harbor Freight Fluid Extractor. Up on the whiteboard here, I put the pros and the cons up, and we'll go over them. Works well. So it does work well, but you got to keep in mind you do have to find that sweet spot with the suction line going through the dipstick tube. So as long as you keep the end of that tube submerged in oil or whatever fluid you're trying to evacuate, it's going to draw. Durable. So it's been 4 years. It's been working like when I first bought it. It held up better than I anticipated, especially that nylon tubing. I thought for sure that would have dried out and gave me problems, but it seems to be working fine. No mess. This is very convenient. All of the fluid goes into that one container, and it's easy to transfer that fluid or oil, whatever it is, into another container, and you could take it to get recycled. Much easier than trying to tip a drain pan and with a funnel, and you still got to clean the drain pan up afterwards, and you have oily rags. So no mess. Works with other fluids. So people have commented, will it work with gas? Will it work with other stuff? So I've used it on motor oil. I've used it on transmission fluid. I've used it on hydraulic oil, and it worked fine. I've never tried it with gas, although I don't see why it wouldn't work. I guess it would work with diesel fuel as well. And it comes with a silicone hose and a right angle fitting, which supposedly snaps onto the bleeder screws. So you can bleed brakes with it too, although I've never used it for that. And the biggest thing, and this is why I came about buying it, is no need to get under the vehicle. So when I had my Dodge Charger, I spent more time jacking the car up and supporting it with jack stands and getting prepared to change the oil than the actual draining of the oil. So, and then putting that all back together and letting the car back down again. So I spent more time doing that, prepping, than the actual oil change. So those are the pros. Now let's go over the cons now. These are the downfalls of it. So, slower than a drain plug. That's definitely true. You could take the drain plug out, drain it much faster than you could by sucking it out with this fluid extractor. But, as I just mentioned when I had the Dodge Charger, I spent more time jacking the car up than I did draining the oil. So if you have to jack your car up and put jack stands under it, whatever time you save by draining it with the drain plug, you just wasted by getting the jacking it up and that kind of stuff. So, depending on your situation. If you can get under your car without jacking it up, then by all means use a drain pan and just drain it out of the plug. Alright, it doesn't work for all applications. So I don't know what other applications it doesn't work for, but I know I can't get the tube to pass down, that little section line, I can't get that line to pass down the dipstick tube in my Chevy Silverado. And I tried twice already and it just can't do it. But I could reach under the truck without jacking it up, take the drain plug out, and pull the filter out without using a jack. So, no big deal. People have also commented, can you reverse it and dispense fluids from this? And the answer is no. It's not reversible. It's a one-way ride. It goes into the container. You have to pour it out. So, I don't know if that's a con or not, but you know, that's what it is. And another con is no need to go under the vehicle. And I have that under the Pro side, but one of the downfalls of that is when you go under the vehicle, at least I look for other things. I'll check out the condition of the inboard side of the tires, something that you normally don't see when you look at your car from the from outside. Could be a bubble on the inside sidewall where you wouldn't see it. Could be a ripped CV joint boot. You could have a leak somewhere. Maybe some loose hardware. You know, broken sway bar link, that kind of stuff. So by not going under the vehicle on a regular basis, you know, you're kind of not doing that little mini inspection every time that you would have done if you were under the vehicle. Alright, so that brings us to the bottom line. Would I buy it again, and would I recommend it? I would buy it again. It's very helpful. It doesn't take up much space, and it's, you know, keeps me from making a mess. It's very convenient for me. Would I recommend it? Well, it's hard for me to say would I recommend it to people because I don't know what their applications would be. But if you have applications that you would benefit from that, I mean, I would recommend it to you then. You know, if you have a vehicle that it's hard for you to get under, you don't have to go under there to change the filter, you don't have grease fittings underneath. You know, if you don't have to go under the car for any other reason except to drain the oil, then I would recommend this for sure. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. I hope I answered everybody's questions. I hope people found this useful, and I want to thank everyone for watching, and stay well.